You have a particularly interesting story with FutureLearn. It's a great example that often growth isn't linear and you have to manage those different periods. So, how did you think about growth and monetization while at FutureLearn?
So what was interesting in the early days was the deadlines were so crazy, the ambition so high, and some of the hype around MOOCs so great that it was really hard to cut through all the noise and work out what were the things we needed to prioritize. But I'd say we were always juggling three things: investment in quality, investment in learner growth, and monetization. And at the beginning, we kind of agreed with the Open University that the most important thing was quality. So we had to launch a quality platform that would differentiate us from other players in the market and in no way undermine the Open University's brand. And again, when you look back, I think it might be really easy to prioritize monetization from the beginning or audience growth, learner growth. But actually, the thing that really ultimately drove that 100 million valuation was the investment in a quality platform. And we definitely got that right. And by being able to pull together this fantastic team from the Open University, ex-VC people, other people that were in and around my network in those years, we put something out in the market super fast that I think we could pretty quickly point at and say that's one of the best learning platforms in the world, and definitely doing learning at scale. So then we've got this great platform though, but the numbers are nowhere near what Coursera are boasting about, edX are boasting about, what our university partners have been led to expect. And so, okay, we've got to now focus much more on marketing and driving learner growth and getting us to a much higher level, a much higher impact in terms of a global learning player. And a lot of that was investment in getting the right content, developing the platform in order to drive greater organic growth, lots of successful and failed attempts to use paid marketing, etc. And ultimately, though, a lot of success came down to the courses, really. When the British Council launched a course on preparation to IELTS, that was the one that attracted hundreds of thousands of people. Suddenly, boom, we've gone from this level to this level. But then quite quickly, it's apparent we've got a great platform, we've got numbers coming in, we're spending a fortune servicing that. So what are our first attempts at monetization? And I think for all of the MOOC players in those early days, we were all assuming that we would be able to monetize a proportion of the very large numbers of free learners we would get. A lot of platform development, a lot of the team's focus then had to switch onto monetization, but we were always balancing it against growth and quality, etc. And we limped along to our first 2 million of revenue in the first couple of years or so. We did our modeling though, and we said, okay, if we extrapolate this forward, then that 2 million is going to turn into 10 million, going to turn into 20 million. And we had this linear growth assumption. And then it just stayed flat and it wasn't moving and we couldn't budge above 2 million. What then happened was our owner and shareholder, the Open University, leadership changed there. And actually, we moved from this being a concern to this being an existential crisis. The platform is going to be shut down if it doesn't get closer to washing its own face. And at that moment, we really had to pivot. And one of the key things we did was we had to go to the universities who are our partners and who previously we had said, we'll give you the platform for free if you give us courses on it. And we had to say to them, it's not working. And it's not working partly because you're not giving us the courses that will monetize. We were getting amazing courses driven from universities' research priorities. We were not getting business and finance courses and AI courses and the stuff that we felt we could monetize. So we told the universities we're going to have to start charging them. But in return for charging them for the platform, we were going to develop it in certain ways that they would want. And you know what? That probably the biggest lesson for me, because I was really nervous about going to these vice chancellors of universities and saying, I've got to start charging you. And what kept coming back at me was, okay, actually, you don't value what you don't pay for. So, in fact, if we're paying for it, but it's going to be heading in the directions you're talking about, then we're more comfortable than if it's free. And that was a real lesson to me. People don't value free as much as you think. And actually, only one university out of like dozens dropped out because of that payment element. All of the rest paid. And suddenly we had 3 million revenue coming in straight to hitting costs, and it was a fantastic step change. And at the same time, other stuff that we've been nurturing, like a move into fully paid courses and fully online degrees, which would obviously be paid for, these came to fruition. And so rather than going linear 2 to 10 million, we were at 2 million. We were within 6 months of getting the chop. And then a year later, we were at 6 million, and a year after that, 8 million. And if I look back on it, I and the team had to be jolted out of the path we were on in order to drive that.